All right, Justin, let's talk about a rookie. I think the first rookie of the player profile preview series, and it just got a lot more interesting because of the news that happened last night. It's Darnay Holmes, cornerback out of UCLA. 5'10", 192 pounds, 22 years old. He was picked in the fourth round by the New York Giants. Justin, when he was picked, his role was not expected to be as big as we're expecting it now. At the Combine, he ran a 4.48 40. Deion Sanders' favorite guy at the Combine was Darnay Holmes. Don't get too excited about that because Deion Sanders is one of those guys who just kind of hot takes it and doesn't really do his homework. And you know what? If you have a career like him, you don't really need to do your homework like guys like us. Nonetheless, Darnay Holmes is a promising player. There's things you like, but man, he is getting pushed into a role that he might not be ready for to start off.
Is that not the theme of the New York Football Giants when it comes to cornerbacks for the last, I feel like, however many years? Putting cornerbacks in situations at which they're not ready for. Cough, cough, Grant Haley. Cough, cough, Tevin Wade. You can even say DeAndre Baker, but we have a lot of expectations for him. But anyway, Darnay Holmes, yes.
DeAndre Baker was not ready to not be a criminal.
Ooh, too soon. Darnay Holmes, the big fun fact and the big story about him after the draft is that he had the nicest backdrop, and it wasn't because it was a green screen, it was because he actually lives on a ranch. And it's like a big ranch. A lot of people wrote nice stories about it, and I would like to go hang out there next offseason. So we'll go to Leonard Williams next offseason, and then we'll make a stop and a pit stop back at Darnay Holmes' ranch next offseason. No?
No. I'll go to Leonard Williams. You can go to the ranch.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I probably would be much more relaxed at the ranch, and you like to do fun things anyway, all the fishing and the jet skiing and things
Whenever
like that.
I think of a ranch, I think of an old school, Borat, when he did the show Ollie G. One of my favorite skits is him is he goes to a farm, and there's a veterinarian there, but the veterinarian also was a Vietnam veteran. And he's just he cannot understand the difference between a veteran and a veterinarian. And he's messing with it. And then he'd hit him with where are the tigers? He's like, it's not a zoo, it's a farm. He's like, well, do you have any hippopotamus? He's like, it's not a zoo, it's a farm. So whenever I think of a farm, I think of Ollie G, one of my favorite skits of his.
So we'll be able to reenact that next offseason. I'll make sure that Darnay Holmes and I make time to do that.
Is this a cat in a hat? No, that's a tortoise in a shell. All right. Justin, Darnay Holmes. Let's talk about him as a player, and then we'll talk about role. Went and washed all his stuff that's available after the draft. I guess he was playing with some sort of foot ankle injury in 2019. At first, I was down because I was watching him against Washington State. He was playing on the outside. And he got bullied for a couple touchdowns. For most part, he was playing well, but there was 2 times where he got bullied on the outside playing press man. The guy got past him and was able to body him for 2 touchdowns. Didn't like that. Then I went and watched. I'm like, oh, there's film on him against Hollywood Brown and Kyler Murray from 2018. I got to see this. And he mirrored Hollywood Brown. So he was placing, mostly the nickel. He was attacked 4 times, 0 completions, 1 interception, 1 pass deflected, and he had a QB hit. He shut down Hollywood Brown. It wasn't just that he was Kyler wasn't going at Hollywood. He shut him down.
He was shadowing him.
Slot. Just shadowed him. He balled in that game. So that took me from oh, maybe this guy, he's just supposed to be in the slot. And you hear on the draft day at the telecast, I remember Riddick saying, hey, this guy's not going to be able to play outside. He's going to play slot. And I try to not judge things until I go and watch the guy. But I couldn't agree more with Louis Riddick on there. And I'm not the biggest Louis Riddick fan anyway. But I did like that. Deion Sanders said he liked him. So, Justin, I think Darnay Holmes has potential. He's a smaller guy. He's going to have to find in the nickel role. But I think he's going to struggle to start the, if he's the starting corner. And if he's going to start, it'll be at nickel. Here's where I can see him starting, Justin. We'll talk about role. Is if they want to play Julian Love on outside, who I think is very capable of being a good outside corner. If DeAndre Baker was never drafted and we drafted Julian Love, I would be banging on the table for Julian Love to start outside corner last year. So Julian Love at outside and then Darnay Holmes in the nickel. The thing is I don't want to put Darnay Holmes in there too quickly. So I kind of lean to Corey Ballantyne, who has traits that I like on the outside, and then Julian Love in the nickel, where I think he can be like the top of the league at nickel, playing with versatility, with him and McKinney doing some different types of things. So I lean that, and then we'll just give Holmes that time to grow. If it doesn't work, then like Ballantyne, you could throw him in halfway through the year. But this kid, I don't know. I think he'll have struggles to start the year.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Now, Bobby, I feel a lot of people who are listening to this, they're just looking at his height and his weight, and they're saying, oh, 5'10", 190, 195 pounds. He sat at 192 at the combine. Oh, well, that's the size to play an outside corner. He did it in college. Why are a bunch of people saying, and a bunch of analysts and a bunch of people saying that he should be playing slot corner? So the Giants need help at outside corner. Why can't Darnay Holmes play at outside corner? So, Bobby, I'll throw that to you because I have my own answer why Darnay Holmes can't play at outside corner. But I'll throw it to you to answer that question since you've watched a lot.
Because I watched the film, and bigger guys were able to get off press, get past him, and he wasn't able to size up with them because of one size. And I mean, they just were able to body him off. I mean, go watch that Washington State. I think it's one of the first plays of the game, and that's against Wazoo. Like take that to the NFL. They actually had a crazy comeback in that game. That was one of the few college football games I watched. It was a Saturday night UCLA. Chip Kelly had a crazy comeback. But if that's happening against Wazoo in the NFL, it's going to happen even more against these bigger wide receivers. Like a guy like Slayton would have a field day with him on the outside. So he's got the speed. He's got the agility. He's got the smarts. He does play smart. Obviously there's a lot more assets to you at the NFL level. So I'm fine playing him man coverage in the slot and stuff like that. That being said, when like teams like want to put Allen Robinson in the slot, that's where you change things up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But he just doesn't have the size and the physicality to play on the outside, I don't believe.
Are you concerned that teams might put their best receiver? Let's just say we're in a reality where Julian Love is cornerback number 2, James Bradbury is cornerback number 1, and we have to rely on Darnay Holmes at the slot rookie year. And again, we're putting ourselves, the Giants are putting themselves in an unfortunate situation where just one spot in their secondary, it could be weak, but it could ruin the entire secondary. And that's unfortunate, but that's just how the NFL works. That's how good offenses operate. Bobby, are you concerned about the possibility that we could have a team's best wide receiver, then putting him in the slot because they know Darnay Holmes is going to be there? Are you concerned about that possibility of the Giants getting burned in that regard?
Well, if it's their best wide receiver, like a speedster or something, I'm fine with it. But if, like the Packers and the Bears did last season, they put Devontae Adams or Allen Robinson in the slot, well, that's not on Holmes. That's on the defensive. That was on James Betcher last year.
Right.
That wasn't on, I didn't view that as oh, look at Corey Ballantyne. I view that as, look at James Betcher. Why do you have Janoris Jenkins not following this guy into the slot? So it's just, that's a matter of scheme for me. That's not Holmes in the slot, we got to leave him there. That's when and Bradbury did this with Carolina, you put Bradbury in the slot, and you put Holmes on the outside on whoever else is out there. Yeah. So that's why, as long as it's coached correctly, I don't really that doesn't bother me.
And I'm with you.
That last year was more of a Betcher issue to me than it was a Ballantyne issue.
I'm with you. I haven't really given thoughts on Holmes from my perspective, but from what I've seen and from what I've read, the good is good, the bad is bad. And that's what you're going to get.
That's the way she goes.
That's what you're going to get from corners. And, we're going to hopefully see some good parts of Darnay Holmes' 2020 season. But we're also, and I'm just saying it right now, we're going to see bad. Corner's a very difficult position to adjust to. Bobby, we were talking about with Dexter.
The team.
We were talking about with Dexter Lawrence, one of our last PPPs, about how transitioning from interior defensive line from college to the NFL, that's a difficult transition. But I even think it's harder for corner. Because
corner is the toughest.
Yeah. Besides quarterback.
Corner's just the toughest position to play in the NFL besides QB.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
I'm with you. And factor all it in, like you just said, that it's the weakest positional group on the team right now because of Beal opting out, and especially Baker really hurts. That really, really hurts. It's the weakest positional spot on the team. One of these guys, I pretty much end almost every episode maybe saying, rooting for your Darnay Holmes, but really emphasizing rooting for your Darnay Holmes. Really emphasizing.
Here's my thing with Holmes. If he struggles, don't panic. Don't freak out.
No.
Give it some time. I mean, go look at James Bradbury's rookie year. He was bad. I remember that first game because they got rid of Norman, and I think Julio Jones had over 300 yards. It was either the first, second, or whatever. It was like the first time the Panthers were on. Actually, no, that's not true because they played the Broncos on that opening night. But they were playing against Simmons. But I remember that first game against the Falcons. It may have been week 3 that Julio Jones had like 290 receiving yards. And Bradbury got destroyed that game. But it was his rookie season. So, and now look at where Bradbury is now. So give the guy a chance. You know, it's not going to be pretty if he's out there starting. And if it is, then, hey, I'll be the happiest person to be wrong about that. So we appreciate you guys. We'll be back tomorrow. Should I just break it now? I mean, I might as well. We got Art Stapleton on the show tomorrow. Finally, we've been trying to get him on for a long time. So Art's going to be on the show. We're going to do some other stuff. Talk Sam Beal, blah, 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 blah. Until then, let's go Big Blue.